So is TikTok going to get banned in the USA? It's moving in that direction, actually, perfectly frank. Surprisingly, I know we've been hearing talks about it, but actually something could happen. The other thing, too, I want to talk about sort of our relationships on social media and sort of where our culture is going. So let's take a look at some of the headlines and I'll share some thoughts with you guys. Congress rolls out new bill allowing nationwide TikTok ban, and they're calling this the Restrict Act. Another headline here. NSA chief warns TikTok could censor videos as part of Chinese influence operations. And moreover, Senate's bipartisan Restrict Act would block tech products like TikTok made in adversarial countries. And then you get this kind of stuff. U.S.-China plunged further into a spiral of hostilities. And there's a couple things with TikTok that I think is an interesting one. So one is, why would we ban this, say, as a country? Aren't we, a nation of free speech, free expression, these kind of things? And it's actually really interesting because, like, for example, for a while, say, we were on radio, and then we went to TV, and it was black and white, then it was color, and then you got movie theaters, then you got video games, then you got, social media, like the development of media, and sort of, I promise you, there's always people saying, basically, hey, this new media is going to make us all dumb, etc. We're all going to be, evil people. Even when I was a kid, for example, if you remember Dungeons and Dragons, there are a lot of Christian groups that were adamantly against it, and though that was a lot of fervor. Now, TikTok's an interesting thing because I'm thinking, to my recollection, have we had this sort of like foreign-owned media company that's really, really attracted audiences around the world? And to think of it this way, just think of it reverse. U.S. media companies, talk about like a Facebook, talk about a Google, a Gmail, etc., have definitely spread influence all around the world. Twitter as well, American company. And so certainly the Americans have done said things, but we don't really like it when other countries also do said things. I just want you to be real on this thing. And this is always kind of like when I'm thinking about out loud, like the social media sort of like do as we say, not as we do. It's kind of like nuclear weapons in a way, where the Americans like to stockpile weapons, but we don't want other countries to have said weapons. So this is always a fun discussion to have, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But regarding all that, I just want to put a context. I personally think TikTok makes you dumb. That's just my personal opinion. And you could make this case as well. Twitter could do the same thing. I think one of the issues is that sort of feeding into this culture of short attention span, try to get as much attention as you can in that short thing. So like no one can sit still anymore. So for example, if I make a video and don't change frame and don't change, something on the screen every 8 seconds, people just flip it off. That's a real thing. It's 8 seconds is like the attention span of a lot of people on social media. So it's frustrating that way. Whether or not China is going to be spreading, communist messages and is going to, turn us all into communists, this kind of thing, and can try to control your kids, I don't know about that. I will say, though, this is a real thing that China does control their social media, and they do block certain things. They do block their citizens from seeing certain things. So, any number of things could happen to where some things are more promoted than others. My personal opinion on, say, U.S. social media is largely it's used to promote commercialism, get you watching these things and get you buying products. So my personal opinion on the U.S. agenda is largely that. Just keep people shopping, basically, right? Spread capitalism. Does, China and TikTok have some sort of agenda? Who knows? I'm not inside there. One of the things that I do think is interesting, though, in terms of just pure politics, certainly like a Facebook/Meta, a Google, or you can even argue Twitter, all the U.S. companies, or you could Snapchat, all the U.S. social media companies would certainly want to ban TikTok if given the choice, right? So I do think there will be backing there. But, these sort of things certainly set dangerous precedents if countries start blocking each other's companies. Now, to be fair, though, China severely limits the access of U.S. social media in China. So this is not unheard of. Of them doing that, right? So I can't just go freely use YouTube or Google and stuff like that. And when I was in China, this is real, and I'm sure people still do today. You basically have to use a VPN, and I can't remember what that stands for. It's a virtual private network. You can correct me in the comments, but the basic idea is that you log in and you can tell the program, which country's IP that you want to use, and then you can access things from said country's IP, that is, no matter where you are. And this is actually really quite useful for all sorts of things, especially if you're traveling around a lot, or if you're in China and trying to get around Chinese regulations and Chinese censorship laws. So the reason why I'm structuring, though, this whole TikTok thing, which a ban may be coming, it seems like, wow, they're getting serious about it, is that sort of the power of social media matters quite a lot, right? And I wanted to give you an example. There is a Elon Musk headline here, and we'll read some of the headlines. You can see what I'm talking about here. Elon Musk publicly mocks Twitter worker with disability who is unsure whether he's been laid off. And the basic gist of it was that when you get like fired from Twitter, laid off, they just shut off your email, and then you're not really sure if you've been fired. You just know your email doesn't work. So chances are you're fired, but you can't actually verify it. So ridiculous. EU tells Elon Musk to hire more staff workers to moderate Twitter. And then the last one is workers ask Elon Musk on Twitter, have I been fired? Now, the reason why I'm putting all these three together, and this relates to the TikTok thing, is, we live in a world where like our most public people are fighting on social media, which is kind of crazy. And also, too, guys, to be perfectly frank, right? I got in a fight on the stream a couple of days ago, and it's just unfortunate the way it is. And like what I'm trying to say is like I'm a human too. I make these mistakes, but one of the things that I want to share with you though is be aware of yourself as much as you can. So in my situation, when I got in a fight, if you guys watched it, the person who was on the live stream started calling me names before I even got in the stream, and it kind of set me off. And I kept trying to calm myself down. And then when it was evident that I just couldn't be around said person, if you guys watched it, I literally just said, you know what? I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to leave. And I pulled myself out of said situation. And in my opinion, that's sort of what you need to do. Whereas, for example, the negative thing is say like an Elon Musk, and you can go through the whole Twitter thread. I'm not going to do it, but if you want to look it up, you can. He gets in like these long Twitter thread fights with like former employees. And I just don't think that's a good look. It's not something you need to be doing. And, they're firing lots of people. And so you can be doing this like every day, arguing with people, et cetera. And moreover, the reason why I bring up the EU thing is that, countries do want to take care of their citizens. And I get it for some people, it's like, oh, no, they're going to want to censor this kind of stuff. But I mean, we're in a crazy world, right? The social media thing to where like anyone with a platform, you can get a whole bunch of subscribers and you can tweet out a bunch of nonsense and it becomes popular. And unfortunately, nonsense is more popular than the truth, which is kind of crazy. And this is just real, right? If I tell everyone, hey, you're all going to be rich and we shall buy Shiba Inu, stuff like that, you get a lot of views on those kind of videos, like crypto stuff. You get a ton of views on that stuff, and people like always ask me my opinion on that stuff, and my opinion is always the same. I don't like it. And my channel is not that big. And I'm just, you guys understand what I'm saying? It's frustrating. But unfortunately, though, we live in a world where like even from the very, very top, they're doing these crazy things. And so it's setting kind of a bad example. And, moreover, should we be, say, governments like blocking said bad examples, like, for example, TikTok? I'll give you another example. I always mention this one when we argue about this stuff in comments. Do you guys remember when kids on YouTube were like eating laundry detergent? Do you remember that? Like, how crazy is that? And, I just feel like we're kind of dumbing down. Now, I've said the same thing over and over, and it's a little bit mean, but, I'm just being honest. I just think the gap between educated and uneducated is going to keep getting wider. And unfortunately, too, this is also a real thing, which someone brought up, which I completely agree with. Unfortunately, the distinction, too, between to say, oh, you can only trust educated people is also not very clear. There are highly educated people that also say crazy things. Like Elon Musk is not a stupid person, right? He probably is well aware of what he's doing and these kind of things where when he tweets out sort of malicious stuff against particular people, he does. I mean, it's literally, this is what these headlines are, and fighting employees, stuff like that. And even my alarm goes off in that situation. That's completely unplanned. But it's hard. We're in a world that's hard to navigate when people should be following a good example are not behaving particularly well. That's sort of what I want you to get from this. But social media does matter, and don't think that we can completely turn off and escape it. It's not like it's going away anytime soon. Even like, for example, you can see the article here, the headline. This is an older one from a few months ago. Pentagon orders review of its overseas social media campaigns. And if you don't know, be it the U.S. Army, or I'm not sure if the Air Force does it, because I know it's all like at the Pentagon. But they essentially have social media teams that spread U.S. messaging in other countries, which I'm not shocked. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so shocked, right? The same way that, say, Russia or China, and even North Korea is very active at that. I can tell you, here in South Korea, the North is very active in having like users make all sorts of kind of comments in it could be bots or real people to sort of, trigger up dissent and anger among just regular people. So the power of social media isn't going to go away because we can't just turn off the technology because there's danger. It's kind of like, we're not just going to stop using cars because there's car crashes. That's a good example, right? We have this media, but we need to learn how to navigate it. And this is sort of why on this channel, I try so hard to talk about all sorts of different things just to get your mind thinking about this stuff like, okay, how can I do better on social media? How can I think about, the content that I watch and how I behave? And sometimes when I need a break, like for example, when I try to get out of a fight, it's like, you know what? I'm getting out of this thing. I'm not going to fight anymore. And the other thing too, which is interesting, there's another headline. I'm wanting to put all this stuff together because the more knowledge you have about how the world works, the better you will do. So read this. In a leaked recording, an Amazon HR executive hints at rehiring employees who have been laid off. So think about this. Why does this headline matter? Imagine that you're fired from Amazon, the same way, say, that person was fired from Twitter, and you start, tweeting out, "Oh my God, I hate Amazon. Amazon's so awful, and everyone at Amazon's an idiot, and my boss was so bad, and all this stuff." And then it turns out that they need to hire people back, and you just spent the last 3 weeks saying all these nasty things and burning all your bridges possible. That's not a good look. Do you guys see what I'm saying where I'm going with this? Is I just want you to be aware and self-aware of yourself and your actions, especially for these kind of things, especially work-related. This is a very real thing. Another one, for example, here, Meta's open manager roles are being moved down a level. I mean, the flattening as layoffs loom. And this is another example of very real. There's all these people over at Meta, right? And they have to decide, okay, who are we going to cut? Who are we going to keep? And it's going to be about relationship. It's going to be about relationship. There's going to be, say, 4 people who all have the same skills, roughly the same resume, maybe even the same years of experience, all of these kind of things. And they're going to be like, okay, well, I just like that person better. Okay, 3 of you are gone. We're keeping you. And so the actions that you do, be it online or offline, do matter, and people do pay attention. And unfortunately, though, we also live in a world where it's very easy to get caught up into hype and to trends and sort of turn our brains off. I'll give you an example. This was an interesting one. We don't talk about Nike or Tiffany that often, although I do have Nikes and I don't work for Nike. I do like Nike. The Nike and Tiffany company sneaker release is the perfect example of what's wrong with buying popular shoes right now. And the basic gist, if you don't understand, is Nike will do these limited edition ones. Here, there's the Tiffany ones. They got the Tiffany green on it. And they actually do look pretty cool, to be really frank. But they're the way they drop these things, it's really hard to get, and everyone's chasing after said things. And then you might probably going to have people crying and complaining. And I'm sure I can make YouTube videos talking about how Nike and Tiffany cheated me, that I couldn't get my, $400 shoes or something like that. And now I have to go on eBay and buy $1,000 shoes. And, the thing is those are first world problems. 100%. First world problems. There are other things to worry about in life if you can't get your Nike Tiffany. But I want you to put all of these examples together that I, laid out for you and sort of understand why the world is so confusing. Why we feel so much stress that we do is because, people at the top behave in these kind of ways, let alone people at the bottom, let alone people in the middle. We're all get kind of sucked into this stuff. And just be aware that social media isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So you got to learn to live with it and try your best to be healthy with it. So I try my best to give you guys a more, calm news and positive influence every day, and hopefully build a community where we can share these things together and navigate this stuff. So I do always appreciate you guys coming back for more. Hopefully this stuff is helpful and useful for you, and I'll catch you on the next video.